Alright, so we're going to try something new for my week 2 Clue 2 update on my building blocks cal, and that is recording directly from my iPad. Having the boys takes away some of the time that I could spend filming on my camera, uploading my computer, editing, which means rewatching whatever 20 minutes, half hour of footage that I get. To cut out all of the bits where I stutter or repeat myself or have to leave the room. So to streamline the process of getting a video from me onto YouTube and to you guys, I'm going to give filming on my iPad a try so that I can hopefully just upload the file directly. So that being said, I am Sarah, this is my yarn lab, and this is week 2, Clue 2 of the Stephen West Westknits Mystery Cal 2016, which is the building block shawl. And today is, it's Monday, October 20-something, 24th maybe, and I finished knitting this clue last night, so I am now 2-3 days behind on my building blocks. Because monogamous knitting is not for me, guys. I pulled off a couple of pumpkin hats this week, finished off a sock, and I'm getting ready to cast on a couple other projects. I'm working on a baby sweater for one of my boys, and yeah, I just can't be bothered to knit monogamously. And with rows that are now, let me check how long these rows are. Rows that are now 388 stitches long, so nearly 400 stitches long in this gray row. It's a slog, the knitting. It's enjoyable, but it's a slog. So week 2 section, Clue 2 was sections 5 and 6, which were this brioche, 2-color brioche section, and then this gray section. I did right off the bat make a error, and I actually cast on and did my I-cords in my color A because I was reading from section 6, not section 5. So my brioche section, which is in black on the right side and blue on the wrong side, has a gray I-cord border. I could have ripped it back, but I couldn't really be bothered to, so that will just be some special variation to my shawl to make it a little bit different. So the black is Blacklight on the Ridley Sock base from Sea Turtle Fibre Arts, and the blue is Storm. You can see I've got all of my many tails as of yet unwoven in along my whole shawl. It's going to be tons of fun for the end, but what I am doing is I'm going to take a page out of basically everyone's book in watching the lessons from Knit Stars, which was that online knitting summit that took place earlier this month, and I'm going to weave my ends in before blocking, block my shawl, and then snip all of the ends after blocking so that the yarn has an opportunity to sort of bloom in the woven in spots, which should lock the ends in a little bit tighter. Not that I ever have any problem with my ends coming back out, but for now they're all hanging loose. The other reason that I don't weave my ends in yet is, although I think it's unlikely with this shawl, but occasionally in Stephen West patterns you find yourself picking up from edges that you didn't anticipate picking up from, and if you've woven in stitches, woven in ends through any of those edge stitches, and then you have to then pick up those edge stitches, the woven in ends can sometimes get in the way. So that's my way of justifying not weaving my ends in as I go along. Anyways, back to the 2-color brioche section. It was an option. You could have done a 2-color garter striping, I believe, in place of doing the brioche, but I really enjoy brioche knitting, so obviously went with the 2-color brioche. And my yarn colors really blended a lot more than anticipated, so it's a really subtle 2-color brioche. You can kind of catch a little bit of that blue poking through the blacklight stitches. It's a little bit more obvious on the wrong side, the blue with the dark. And then the 1 row garter section stripes, it completely models the 2 colors together, and you can't really differentiate between the black light and the blue. So if you look at the yarns that I was using though, there is quite a bit of difference between these 2 skeins. So it's really amazing how 2 yarns with this much difference, but with the blue being a tonal that has some hints of the darker grays and blacks in it, and the black light being a tonal that has hints of the lighter grays and blues in it, when you work them together in something like 2-color brioche or in something like garter stitch, 1-row garter stitch stripes, it really does model and blend these 2 colors together like almost seamlessly. So like, look at this garter stitch section. I mean, you can see the blue and the black, but you could totally knit a whole garment with these 2 yarns alternating colors, and it wouldn't feel like stripes. It would feel like one variegated yarn together. So something to think about in the future is to do a more subtle incorporation of 2 colors into one sweater. Anyways, that was straightforward, and then had the gray section. The patterning on the solid sections is basically the same each time, and they are a slog. Yeah, so 400 stitches in my rows now. Ooh, excuse me. Looking ahead into week 3, it's more of the same. The patterning at this point is kind of intuitive, that you're going between a 2-color section and then a solid section. So I believe we have a 2-color section featuring the pink and the black coming up next, followed by a solid section in the blue, just because we haven't done those color combinations or solid in the blue yet. And looking into week 3, Stephen is giving the opportunity, or option rather, to go for a smaller shawl and skip one of the sections and go right to clue 4. But I'm just going to push for a massive shawl. Already the depth on this shawl is quite impressive. I'm not sure if you can really get a hint of it, but it's already as deep as any of the other shawls that I have, potentially with the exception of my exploration station, which was knit at a larger gauge and came out larger than you would even expect an exploration station to come out. So I figure, why not commit? And even if this takes me 4 more weeks instead of 2 more weeks to finish, I'm gonna go for the larger size. I don't think I'm having any issues running out of yarn. I still have more than half a skein of each of my skeins left. Maybe a bit less than that on this gray, since I just did a very large gray section. So I'm gonna go for it. Plus, the nature of this shawl, if you did find yourself short, 4 rows before the edge, you would just end up with a slightly shorter row of building blocks. Anyways, just wanted to give you that update before I went ahead to cast on and pick up stitches for week 3. How are your building blocks shawls coming along? If you are also knitting a building block shawl, let me know how your project is coming along in the comments below. Let me know if you went with the brioche section or not, and if you're planning to go big and go home, go big or go home rather, and knit the largest possible variation of this shawl, or if you're planning on going for a smaller shawl and cutting sections in the upcoming weeks. That's all for now. Happy knitting and happy experimenting with fiber, guys.